That was Loyola Chicago taking down Tennessee, the 3 seed. Oh my goodness. Such great last second shots, buzzer beaters. Oh, Manny's not going to like this. Whew. That was Kansas down 3 to Memphis. Actually, Manny is going to like this because that was,
Howard,
yeah, that was down 3 and tying it up and then winning in overtime. Manny, welcome back. Welcome back, man. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
I'm
Fine
I'm I'm
Sunday.
about to
Happy Easter to everyone.
happy Easter to everyone. I'm
Celebrate.
about to embark upon something challenging. I'm gonna try to get you and Shep on the air at the same time. So hang tight, bear with me.
Okay.
Here we go. All right, you're locked in. All right, Shep, are you on the air?
I am. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Welcome to the show. All right, I'm gonna do this. Let's see if I lose one of y'all or if I get both of you here.
All right.
All right, Shep, Manny, y'all with me?
I'm
Roger.
good. Manny, you good?
Hey, nice to hear you
Yes.
on the radio
Yeah,
right
you
now,
too.
guys.
Yes.
All three of us.
All right. I do not need a word to the suits. I no longer need an intern. I have mastered the machine.
You promoted yourself to a non-paying another role.
I've been asking for years. It wasn't happening, but hey, you know what? What did Thanos say? All right, fine, I'll do it myself. All right. Well, it is such a pleasure having both of you here. It is madness time, and I wanted to get into some of the topics. So, Shep, if you've been listening in, we've talked about the madness that has transpired this year. Obviously,
Yeah.
before we embark upon some of the historical stuff that I wanted to talk about today, I do want to have your take on. We're both leaning Michigan in this championship game, the way they've dominated through the tournament. But
Yeah, they're on a roll.
they are just absolutely. But what UConn has done, I was going through like the having the poise, having the mental toughness, and the mental awareness of making the right play in the right moment. UConn just keeps doing it over and over. So I wouldn't be shocked if UConn pulls it off, but I think Michigan wins. Your thoughts?
At the risk of sounding boring, I kind of agree with you. I think that UConn has played their. I don't know. I'm not going to say their consistent best. They came back out and they beat Duke in a game I really think that Duke should have won.
Yeah.
And then they've done well to get the championship game, but I just don't think they're as good as Michigan. But they're playing well. They've got a great coach, regardless of what you think is his personality. So they've got what's the old saying? They've got a puncher's chance, right?
Yeah.
In the game, but I think this is where it kind of hurts the better team for this to be a one and done as opposed to a series. Michigan would absolutely win a best out of 7.
Yeah.
Right? They probably absolutely win a best out of 5. I'd bet heavily on them on a best out of 3.
Best out of 3, right? but that's what makes the March Madness so crazy, right? It's one and done on that day, in that moment. So it'll be an interesting. I'm going to be glued to the TV. I'm sure most of the nation will be trying to see if UConn has one more magical moment in them, or if Michigan just rolls to yet one more boring, easy victory, just like they've done game after game in this tournament. All right. Well, let's get to, we talked about that buzzer beater by Mullins that UConn needed to get past Duke. But let's talk about some of the greatest buzzer beaters in March Madness history. So we kind of got into it right before the break, Shep. And of course, the big NC State, that's iconic, right? I agree with Manny. It's difficult to top that. But what are some of the top buzzer beaters in your mind that you can think of?
I'm going to go number 1. I don't think most people have number 1, and it's a long time ago. Lorenzo Charles, NC State versus Houston, 1980.
Yes, no, I'm with you there. We were just talking about that. Go ahead, tell them about that shot. That was phenomenal.
it was just unlikely. It was, a scramble.
It was an air ball.
Yeah, I mean, it was the best passed air ball timing wise in NCAA tournament history, right? And Phi Slamma Jamma doesn't win the title because of that, right? And it encapsulates, because the other shots that are on these lists are all like pure shots, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. They go in. There's no element of crazy per se to them outside of the timing.
Yeah.
Maybe the length, but that was just March Madness. It was crazy. That's the standard by which I use that. I don't know. What do you think, Riz?
I definitely agree with you there. I think that for me is the number one shot. I didn't watch that game live. This was a little bit before my time. Or I was around, but I think I was probably playing with marbles or with a doll or something at that age. But I do see that. But they do the rewind of some of the best shots. But guys, do you guys remember watching that full court run by Tyus Edney of UCLA?
Oh, I was just thinking about that.
That was, to me, that's almost remarkable too, because he ran the whole length of the court and
he was tiny.
That was a crazy shot. So yeah, that one comes to mind as well.
That was 95, right? The Tyus Edney shot.
Yeah.
It was in the 90s.
Did UCLA win the title in 95?
They did.
Yeah, with Chris Bannon, right?
Who got the NCAA lawsuit started.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a great one, because it was a layup, really, like a full court running layup.
Exactly, a full court all the way, ran through like pinball,
at the buzzer.
Pinball, all the way through, and it was just crazy. The other one that I think about more recently was Gonzaga when they lost to UCLA, when they won as well over UCLA with Jalen Suggs. That was pretty remarkable, like at the buzzer one. But yeah, I think this just shot that UConn just had over Duke brought all these memories back basically to me. So I figured I'd ask Riz one if there were any that you remembered.
Yeah. So one thing that we're kind of forgetting in all these iconic moments, just recently, like what was it, 3 years ago? Was it 22 or 23? 23. San Diego State against Florida in that Final Four game. To get to the championship game, right? San Diego State beating that's not quite
run.
Yeah, that's not quite NC State versus Phi Slamma Jamma, just because as I said, those guys were. I mean, they were. The line was like almost 20. The line was 16, 17, 18 points in that game. NC State was not supposed to be in the position to put back an errant three for the win, right? I mean, it wasn't even supposed to happen. This was that was a David versus Goliath, if there ever was. But I think this San Diego State versus Florida was close, because Florida
Atlantic, right? Was it Florida or Florida Atlantic?
No, it was Florida. Wasn't it?
San Diego State, that was a nice run, but I know they didn't win that game. I'd have to go back and look.
Oh, it was Florida Atlantic. I've completely forgot that Florida Atlantic actually made it to the Final Four.
Yes, they had that run, and that's who their coach basically is moved on from there. I can't remember now, but he had that run. I guess Arizona, right? Derek Mays. He did run. He did lead them to a nice run. That was Cinderella.
Yeah, it was. It was. You're absolutely right, Shep. In my mind, I was thinking the Gators, but yeah, it was Florida Atlantic, who themselves, like, imagine that, if Florida Atlantic, San Diego State, at least half the nation knows who San Diego State is. Mm-hmm. Right? Can you imagine if Florida Atlantic had made the championship game?
This is why you play the video game, man. the football video game. That's why you can learn all the schools that way.
Right.
I mean, I would venture to guess, if half the nation knows who San Diego State is, maybe 10% of the nation, 15% of the nation would actually know that.
If you're talking sports nation, then yes. But I don't know how many people actually know who San Diego State is outside of Southern California.
Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, I think that one sticks out. That Final Four, if we were talking about UCLA and Tyus Edney, let's move to 2021. What about that Gonzaga, the perennial disappointer, the perennial bracket buster for me? I keep picking them and they keep losing. I had them going to the Final Four this year. So, but that year they got to the championship by beating UCLA on that buzzer beater to win 93-90 in an insane game. That was Jalen Suggs hitting that, tied at 90 all. You know, I think they were undefeated, if I remember correctly, and that was just that was insane stuff. That was a good one. And then the one I mentioned, I actually started the last segment with that, with the highlight of that. Villanova and North Carolina.
Yeah, Chris Jenkins, right? And that wins the national title.
Yes. So I think that was two back-to-back shots. So obviously Villanova's came at the buzzer, but Carolina was down 3 and
they hit one to tie it. And
like a double clutch, defenders flying by him, double clutch on the way down 3-pointer that he tossed up for North Carolina that went in to tie it at 74. And then Villanova, I mean, they just Chris Jenkins just came back with a Tyus Edney like run through. There was no timeout called. He just grabs the ball, 5-6 seconds left, weaves through and tosses up a 3 at the buzzer that goes in for a national championship. So that one is pretty big.
Yeah.
And that's what makes March Madness so great, right? There are,
and we've got one that's kind of an anti-homer comment from me.
Okay.
Bryce Drew, Valpo versus those people, 1998.
That was when they took down Ole Miss in the first round.
Those people. Yep.
Yes. I can't believe I said their name. Yes.
It was a half court, right? It was a half court shot. And just, I think it was a 12-5. So it's not like the biggest upset in the world or something like that. But it was just a great sequence at the end of the game. And of course, it ended up, falling the right way for those of us who are from the Maroon Nation, as it were. Yep. And then I know we were talking about the men's tournament, but from a homer standpoint, not an anti-homer.
Mississippi State against UConn.
Yep, Morgan Williams, man. That to beat that unbeaten ring run for the Huskies.
Yep. Yeah, we just talked about that a little while ago. I think Shep, you and I have talked about how that championship game when it was in Dallas, I actually went and bought tickets outside the arena, spent the most I've ever spent at a sporting event for 3 tickets, took the girls, and then got destroyed by South Carolina in the championship game.
I just did something similar to that this past week. Different sports. But so Bosnia has qualified for the World Cup in the United States.
All right.
And we did not expect that to happen for various reasons, one of which is they're not a particularly traditional power.
Yep.
And so my wife is Bosnian, right? And so Bosnia qualifies, and there's only 3 group round games they're going to play, and so we're gonna head to Seattle and watch them play Qatar.
Oh wow! Exciting, man!
So
congratulations.
Me, the wife, and the girls are gonna go travel. That one's now pushed itself into the highest, most expensive sporting event I will ever see.
I was gonna say, I think you're gonna end up incurring a higher expense than I did on those 3 tickets.
Yeah. But imagine if you had to go to Brazil or Japan to attend the game of the World Cup.
Well, that's what we were saying. We were like, when's the next time Bosnia is going to play a game a World Cup game in the United States? Because 1, the World Cup has to be here, and 2, they have to qualify.
Yep. No, that's the thing. I think that's what keeps sports alive, right? It's that fandom, and it's the once in a lifetime chance, and that's exactly how I rationalized that championship game. The Final Four was here. UConn game was here, and I was like, well, we're gonna get destroyed. I mean, it's great we got to the Final Four, but we're gonna get destroyed. I'm not spending money.
Did you guys talk about the UConn South Carolina game this past weekend or Friday night?
On the ladies' side, yes. Yeah. Gino, yes. So we did.
We did. Talk about his reaction.
I think he has. Look, I think so. I'm not trying to defend him because it's absolutely indefensible, because it wasn't a momentary indiscretion. It was a game long and post game and everything. Like it was an extended decision. Now he finally came back and apologized the day after, but I think by then it's too late because it is not a momentary hot-headed moment. Like that's not what it was.
I no, he was, you know what it was. And this is one of these things that even greats get messed up on. He could tell that the game wasn't being officiated the way he wanted it to be officiated, and he couldn't control that. And as a result, he lost control of his own actions. And his players may have fed into that a little bit. And that is one of probably the hardest things about sports. You know, they always tell you to control what you can control. Mm-hmm. And they could not control the fact that they were just letting South Carolina mug his team.
But they were calling it on both. They were calling it loosely on both sides, though. It wasn't.
What team did that advantage?
The advantage is South Carolina. Yeah.
And this is where I get kind of torn up about women's basketball has this problem just as much as men's basketball in the NBA. That game was called in a way designed, not on purpose, I don't think. I don't believe in it. I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but it was called to make sure that South Carolina won that game. There was just no way that UConn was going to be able to get their offense running with them playing rugby basketball.
It was finesse versus brawn, right?
And that's what Staley's teams, that's what they did to us in the national title game. Staley's teams are all, we're just going to beat you up, man. We're going to hold you, grab you. You're not. And look, she's a great coach, and it's worked for a number of national titles. But God, watching them is ugly. It is an ugly basketball game to watch.
So I hear you there, and yes, you're absolutely right. Going back to that championship game, I remember I was sitting there and I was just increasingly frustrated by the hard play that was allowed against Mississippi State, right? And we were kind of that MSU team was. It wasn't quite the finesse dependent team that UConn is, but still there were some high skill guards that the team was dependent on. And yes, South Carolina did muck it up, and we just could not get past that. So I agree, that's the style, but that's the style that the officiating is allowing.
And that's the thing.
You can't lose your cool. You cannot have that moment.
You got to control what you can control, which is your attitude.
Yeah.
And I think his players may have had a little bit of that lead into them. Like, hey, we're not going to be able to win because even coach sees it.
Yes.
Right?
Well, so the thing is, I mean, he just again, I think what you're saying that makes one understand his frustration. It does not explain.
It doesn't
absolutely does not justify or excuse it. Yeah. The way you've been here before, man. Act like you've been here before. Right?
Oh, yeah.
That's the thing.
The Ultimate's been there before.
Yeah, you've got so many championships under your belt. You cannot. And then everything. Like the whole jersey thing. Did you hear about that? In the post game.
Yeah, no. His own player said, yeah, I'd ripped it. Like and look, it just makes him look worse.
Yeah.
You know, and man's not used to losing, and he doesn't handle it real well.
I mean,
I don't know how else to say that.
Look, to me, and Manny, you've been awfully quiet. I want to hear your thoughts on this. I know we've already kind of discussed it, but to me, the judge of the character of a person is not how they act or behave when things are going well. It's how they act or behave when things are not going well. And Gino just absolutely I mean, I think he ruined a major portion of the goodwill that he had built across the years in that game and following the game. He just did. Everything else, take that out of the equation. The way you behave towards others. You're frustrated with the officials, don't take it out on the opposing coach, right? Don't. And then the sportsmanship has to be there. You have to be able to. The game is over. The competition is over. Shake hands, and walk away.
Exactly. Yep. I mean, like Shep said, man, he's not used to losing, and we get that. He's the ultimate winner in women's basketball, but part of that, accolades that we put you as a coach, because you're supposed to be a role model at all times. And when 10 times are great and you're winning, raising another banner, you're going to be happy. But look, coaches know that not every game is going to go their way. Sometimes not even a full game. They may be calling it one way in a half, and second half things tighten up or something. So you just have to go with the flow. You cannot take your cool, lose your cool like that. And yeah, I really feel he's a little bit tarnished that legacy of his. But hats off to Coach Staley. She was I don't think she's taking it personally. She understands how passionate he is. So, but what a.
I think they actually don't like each other either.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think there's probably some off the court things.
There's enough bad blood at this point. Yes.
They truly, and look, and I'm not going to. His behavior was unacceptable, so I'm not going to defend him. If I were playing against Dawn Staley's team, I would probably not like her either. She's brutal. Like the way she's
Chuck Daly. She's Chuck Daly, right? She's telling her players to be bad boys. That's the style. If the officials are allowing it,
well, that's who he should really be directing his ire against. The officials for not calling a clean game.
Officials and the NCAA. Like if she's playing by the rules that are being allowed. Yep. It's like, as much as I despised Bill Belichick and the Patriots to what they were doing to the Colts and everybody, but specifically Manning and the Colts.
Specifically the Colts.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, look,
he's not the one making the calls. If the refs are allowing it, he's going to tell his guys to.
They'll let both teams do it.
Yeah.
Look, I look. The NFL did go back and try to change the enforcement of it after that that playoff run, and I think that was the right call to do that because that was just egregious. But Bill Belichick was a master. I mean, look at the Super Bowl they won against Atlanta.
Yeah.
If the officials don't just let the Patriots hang on to every Falcons wide receiver from the third quarter on,
Atlanta that comeback never happens. Yep.
Yeah, and if Atlanta had been smart enough to try it on their own, maybe they would have won it. Like, it's one of the things. Like, hey, if they're getting away with it, you should try it too.
Yeah,
that's one of the things I've never understood. Now, if you get called for it and they don't, well, that's okay.
Then you have a beef. Yep.
Yeah.
Hey, so 2 minutes. I do want to. We talked about. We didn't really. We mentioned the Leitner shot against Kentucky, the 104-103 Elite Eight matchup, that long football pass by Grant Hill,
really obviously
pinpoint. Yeah. But a couple of years before that, Duke had a buzzer beater that we didn't talk about in 1990 in that Elite Eight against the number one seeded UConn to beat them 79-78. They were down one. And Leitner, a freshman Leitner at that point, remember we in 92, he was a junior. He was about to be on the dream team.
Yes.
Right. But 2 years earlier, as a freshman, he had hit a double pump, 15-foot, that down one, converting to winning by one and beating the number one seed in that Elite Eight matchup. That one kind of gets forgotten when we talk about Leitner. So there are so many crazy moments, right? And I think Shep and Manny, both of you have said this. Largely, it's by design, right? It's because of the way this is designed. It's a one and done, win and advance, lose and go home. There's no series to fall back on. There's no, we're the better team, we're going to come out on top in the long run.
Yeah, there's no adjustments you can make for the next game.
Yeah. There's no long run, and there's moment after moment after moment that happens. Obviously, some of these iconic moments get stuck, but I think we forget more of the buzzer beaters than we actually remember. There's that much that happens because if you start thinking about it, I mean, I remember that. Oh, geez, was that in the early 2000s or was it the 90s? That Oklahoma State team. What was his name? The big. What did they call him? Oklahoma State.
Big Country.
Big Reed. Country. Yeah, I was like, what did they call him? The Big Hat. The Big Country.
Oh my gosh! Yeah.
And when they lost in the NCAA, I don't even remember who beat them. But it's like so many of these things happen that we can only retain a few of them. But it's insane time. I think we talked about this before you were with us, Shep. But the fact that there's no doubt in American sports right now, football is king. The NFL rules the sports throughout the year, even the off season. There's no off season. But boy, as Manny said, for these 2.5 weeks of March Madness, there is nothing better. There's nothing that captures the nation's attention more for an extended. Maybe the Super Bowl as a moment, as a single game, will be one that captures the nation's attention better, and the world's for that matter. But boy, this 2.5-3 week span is just amazing
for the United States. Absolutely.
In the US,
I will say that when the World Cup group stage starts and then you get the knockout, the rest of the world would disagree with you. I mean, because the most watched sporting event on the planet is the World Cup final.
Oh, absolutely. Both the World Cups.
The whole tournament is and it's less popular here in the U.S. So I guess people say it's been growing popularity. I don't know the actual numbers, but I remember being in the airport back when Australia beat France.
Hey, Shep,
Argentina.
I apologize. Can you put a pin in that? I'm about a minute past the break time. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to pick it right back here with the point that you had. As soon as we get back, you're listening to the Sports Spotlight right here on Radio Azad.